So today we're going to be discussing Emaar's The Oasis, the next upcoming phase. And for that, I thought we'd take a trip out so you can see something that's real. This is District 1. Currently, we're located. It is the closest villa community to downtown Dubai. And I would credit District 1 with being the first to introduce the idea of a lagoon inland. So this beautiful lagoon that you see behind me, just an idea of what a lagoon within a community is going to look like. It feels like every developer is coming up with this idea, the ones that have money to be able to finance the construction of a villa community, because it requires a lot of capital to be able to do that. And Emaar, I would credit them with being the first ones to come up with the idea of master communities. They were the first ones to get permission from the government to be able to sell freehold land here in the city. Right now, we're literally located in one of the most beloved master communities here in Dubai. And the master community is just basically a subset of the city that is managed and controlled by one developer. So Emaar, they have 16 of those throughout the city. One of them being downtown Dubai, the ones that you see right here. You see the Burj Khalifa over there. That is a master community, our city center that is managed and controlled by Emaar. Our other city center is Dubai Marina. That was Emaar's first official master community. And since then, 28 years of building experience. Emaar, they were founded back in 1997. So a lot of experience. And right now, to date, they have 16 master communities all over Dubai. And the one that we're going to discuss, the Oasis, I would say this is like their flagship project outside of Emirates Living, or more specifically Emirates Hills. But the Oasis, so it's a really nice master community. We're talking 100 million square foot of land and only 3,100 villas within that community. So think of, the density, the second least dense community in Dubai. They're only competing with themselves because number one is Emirates Hills. If we segregate Emirates Living just into Emirates Hills, there's only 616 villas in that community, and it's altogether it's about 37 million square feet. There's golf course, there's lakes surrounding Emirates Hills. And Emirates Hills was introduced at a time period back in 2003 where they were selling villas at only 280 per square foot. So today, with the rising cost of land and of course construction costs, you cannot really replicate a community like that. Emaar is one of the few developers that has that kind of, funds, capital to be able to create such a community. It's a brand that is super beloved here in Dubai, and they are responsible for shaping our city skyline as we see it today. They have a huge presence not only on the primary market, but also the secondary market as well. Right now, in terms of sales for this year, it's around 57 billion. Second place is the MAC with only 30 billion. So the gap is huge, and the gap is the same on the secondary market. Emaar, they have 70% of the secondary market as well. That data is only for last year. Of course, the year is not complete yet, so we don't know how it looks for this year, but I can guarantee you it's probably very similar. And of course, that's super important because secondary market, primary market, you want a developer that, their stock is performing on both, especially the secondary market, because that is going to make it easier for you to liquidate in the future. If, you ever run into those problems. Getting back to the Oasis, it's a 100 million square foot land parcel, a very unique land parcel as well, but I'm going to discuss that a little later on. 100 million square foot of land and only 3,100 villas. So just think about the open spaces that you're going to have within this community. They're only building on 45% of it. 45% of it is dedicated to residential spacing, and another 30 to 40% is dedicated to open spaces, parks, greenery, and of course the lagoons that you're going to see running throughout the community. Now let's talk location. The Oasis, to the south side, you have Emirates Road. The significance being on Emirates Road, you're going to have the Etihad Railway that's upcoming. It's going to be functioning starting from next year. So you're going to be able to go from the Oasis to Abu Dhabi in only 30 minutes. And to the north, you have Sheikh Zayed Al Bin Hamdan on Nayan Street. And the significance there being that you're going to have a dedicated metro line. We have the yellow line that's coming up by 2030. So the community is going to have a dedicated metro line. And I know, I'm not saying, of course, an investor that's going to invest in the Oasis is probably not someone that's going to be using the metro. But the significance there being, you still have support staff. So you have housekeeping, you have your driver, you have people that landscape communities just like this, you have lifeguards, all that good stuff. they need to be able to get to the community in order to upkeep and maintain the community. So having a metro dedicated, it always adds value to any community here in Dubai. And another really good thing about the Oasis, the location, it's located, actually one of the reasons why I came here. So District 1 is located on Al Khail Road, and the Oasis, Al Khail Road, it extends and goes downward to another street called Al Fay Road. The government actually just approved a 1.5 billion extension of that road that brings it all the way down to Emirates Road, and it connects the Oasis to Al Khail Road. So these two communities, they're going to share the same major highway. Al Khail Road is the second heartbeat of Dubai, I would say. So you have Sheikh Zayed and you have Al Khail Road. So very nice location, and one of the reasons why I think these two are pretty comparable. Now let's dive into the community itself. 3,100 villas across 100 million square foot. So just think of the exclusivity, the privacy. Look at these villas here. You can see it. All this landscaping, all these trees, all this greenery. All that open space is only for 3,100 villas. And you don't have any townhouses, you don't have any apartment complexes like most of the communities in Dubai. So District 1 does have apartment complexes here, but on the other side, Emaar also did something similar in Dubai Hills, where, Dubai Hills on paper, it has 35,000 units, but the villas are separated from the apartment complexes. So they still have that privacy aspect. But in the Oasis, you'll really see what I mean. Like, if we look at Sobha Hartland next door. So this is a video of Sobha Hartland, and you can see, you can literally take one step over from your neighbor's terrace to your terrace. One step, like there's no distance between the villas. And these are like the most premium villas directly on the lagoon, and there's no space between them, I don't know. And behind you, you have apartment complexes, and directly in front of you, you have Azizi Riviera with low-rise buildings of around 9 floors each. And all those majority of them are studios, and they're all overlooking your villa. So think about how uncomfortable that would be. Let's say you wanted to go to, you're outside on your balcony, or you're in your backyard, you're by your pool, and you have all these apartments overlooking your villa. So just think that back to the Oasis and how that relates to the Oasis, and just having all that open space. Then you'll get an idea of what we mean by privacy, exclusivity. The minimum buy-in for anyone that purchased an Oasis was around 8.4 million AED. So super premium, super exclusive. Just think about the networking you can do as well, because everyone in there is of a different caliber, So just to summarize, you have open spaces, you have that exclusivity, you have that distance between the villas. The minimum distance, you're looking at around 6 meters. Even on the outskirts of the community, the way they've made the community on the outskirts, the distance between the roadways, the Emirates Road I mentioned, the Etihad Railway, on the other side, the distance between the highways, you have around 200 meters of greenery before you even get to the first villa. So you don't have to worry about noise from the streets. It's a really well-crafted community. And when we look later at the actual layouts, you'll see that the villa itself, it only takes up around 27% of the plot. So you have a lot of yard spacing on your plot. You have tons of rooms for a garden, your pool. It's a lot of space. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later on when I show you one of the layouts. Now, remember at the beginning of the video, I said that the land parcel itself was very unique. I was referring to the fact that it's not flat land. There are hills and valleys in a way. So this has allowed Emaar to, one, create some really nice layouts. You have, in some of the layouts, you have like a drop down style to where you have the basement, which actually opens up into the backyard, and the ground floor turns into where you're overlooking your pool in the basement. And yeah, another big thing is a lot of these layouts do come with a basement. It's very rare in Dubai to have a villa with a basement. If you look on Property Finder Bayou, you'll probably see these cost upwards of 40, 50 million AED. It's very capital intensive to be able to build out a proper basement. So Emaar is the first one that is actually introducing these basements, and especially in a 4-bedroom. A 4-bedroom with a basement was non-existent on the market before. So there's a lot of really unique layouts in this community. And the second big benefit is because the land isn't flat, it allows the lagoons are on different levels. It's cascading in a way. So it runs down from the top down to the bottom, and then it's pushed up and cleaned. So the water itself, it's not stagnant. It's not still. It's constantly moving. It's like living next to a, what do you say, like a river. So the water is always moving, and that is a huge benefit over majority of the communities here in Dubai. So District 1 is a really good example. The water here, it's very stagnant, and it gets dirty after a while. They have to, so one day out of the week or once every 2 weeks, you're gonna come here and there's gonna be no water in the lagoon because they need to clean it. They need to take it out. They need to drain the lagoon, clean it, and put in fresh water. So yeah, that is one big thing, one big advantage over the Oasis, over a District 1, a Jumeirah Islands. It's the same thing. Now, in terms of amenities, you're going to have cycling tracks, jogging tracks, indoor and outdoor gyms, a spa, wellness facilities. You also have 2 schools that are going to be within the community. You have nurseries, you have 2 clinics as well. You have just about everything that you need for everyday life, except most likely your office. Emaar is one of the best at building communities. I would say they are the master of it. They were the first to introduce it, and I think their reputation, it has propelled them to number 1. With Emaar, the infrastructure is going to be done correctly. The master plan, everything is going to be laid out correctly. I'll show you a video of Dubai Hills. Look at the roadways, how nice and wide the roads are. At least you're looking at minimum 2 lanes each direction. So you don't have to worry about traffic within the community, especially around. This is a big problem if you go to other communities like I was over in JLT, and once the school let out on a Friday at between 12 to 1, you're going to be stuck in traffic for 15 to 20 minutes. The roads are very small. So Emaar, they really think out the master plan, the layout that they want to have. You can also look at Emirates Hills, a community more than 20 years old, and it still looks really fresh, really new. So you can see one thing that is guaranteed is that Emaar is going to maintain this community really well in the years to come. That's another big thing with Emaar. They are renowned for maintaining the communities and customer service. It's not one of those developers that just takes the money and run. They're hard to get in contact with. No, if you have a problem within your villa, I know Emaar, they're going to fix it, even when they don't have to. So for example, back in last year, April 2024, we had a huge flood. It caused billions worth of damages, and a lot of communities were affected by this. A lot of villas and apartments were damaged just because the materials, we weren't ready. Dubai is not built to withstand against this much rain. And what Emaar did, I had one investor, he owned a villa in Arabian Ranches, and what Emaar did, even though that this villa, there was no warranty on it anymore, it's, a community more than 10 years old. But Emaar, they fix these villas free of charge. So yeah, that's just one of the things to take serious note of, especially if you're buying this as a community that you want to personally live in. You want to know that the community itself, they're going to look out for you if you ever have any issues in the future. Okay, so last but not least, we're actually going to touch on exactly what you're going to be getting. You'll get to see one of the layouts and, of course, how much these villas actually cost. But first, let me just touch on the Oasis itself. What has been launched so far? We've seen 1,637 units over the last 2 years. The community is under construction. It was originally launched back in June 2023, so just about a year, about 2.5 years under construction. And you can see it has been performing quite well on the secondary market. They have been appreciating at a rate of around 12% per year. I have seen transactions as high as 26% profit going back to Palmyra. So 1,637 units across 7 different launches. I'm showing you the average prices for the last 7 clusters, and you can see the most we've touched is 2,180 per square foot. This next launch, Mareva, you're looking at an additional 311 villas, and the starting price is around 1,860 AED. But I really want you to hone in and pay attention to that price, because 1,860 AED per square foot, it's really rare that you find something in Dubai on the off-plan market that is genuinely underpriced compared to what you can find on the secondary market. Right now, our market has seen a lot of demand over the last couple of years, and the developers are definitely taking full advantage of that. Typically in a traditional market, the off-plan, it should be priced anywhere from 20 to 30% less than what you can get on the secondary market, because of course you have to wait a couple years before you get the keys. But here in Dubai, that is not really the case. Yeah, I would say at least 90% of what is being released is overpriced compared to the secondary market. So it is very refreshing to see a project that is actually undervalued. So I'm going to show you right here on the screen. You can see what Jumeirah Islands, where those prices are right now, the average price to get into the community, anywhere from 28 to 4,080 per square foot. And you can also see that it's touching as much as 6,000, crossing 6,080 per square foot. And of course, those are not typical standard villas. Those are bespoke, ultra luxury, upgraded villas to the highest extent. But it kind of gives you an idea of what's possible. You know, if you were to get a villa here in this community and be able to renovate it really nicely, go all out on it, you get an idea of what the price can touch, especially in a community like this where, like I said before, there's no townhouses, there's no apartments, there's just a different crowd within the community. District 1, where we were just at, prices anywhere from 2,800 AD crossing over to the 4,000 range. Jumeirah Gulf Estates, which is directly north of the Oasis, is across the street. You're seeing average prices anywhere from 2,500 to 2,600 AD. So imagine that right across the street. The Oasis is 30% cheaper than what's available right across the street. So hopefully I was able to give you guys some new insights on the community, not just from an investor standpoint, but also from the perspective of someone who wants to personally live there. Hopefully we can do a one-to-one meeting. This is my personal phone number on screen. Yeah, just so we can, get to understand exactly what you're looking for, what would make you happy, what would be your personal goals, because of course, everyone has a different objective with investing in Dubai. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please feel free to subscribe. And yeah, peace.